on Zapper Pest Control. I'm driving south right now into a sunset, if you haven't been able to tell. It's real brightly lit. I thought, I got a long drive, and I like to have these little chats, these little bits that I post about pest control in general, and, what you can expect from that, or from pests in general. And I thought this time we talk a little bit about roaches. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have about, three main problem roaches. The North American roach, the German cockroach, as they're called, and the Oriental cockroach. Truthfully, on the job, I really only ever run into the German cockroach and the Oriental roaches. I very, very rarely run into the North American cockroaches. They prefer, the American Southwest and areas like that. We do have them in our area, but it's very rare that I run into them. On a few occasions, I've run into some outlier species as well, like the woods roach, as they call them. Those do not function the same way as the communal roaches that you might find in your house or in a restaurant. Those are real isolated. They don't live in colonies. They end up in your house on accident, usually on firewood or something like that, and they usually die there. They don't go after human food or anything like that, so they're not really a problem. There are actually thousands and thousands of species of cockroaches, but only a handful of them are really problematic or what we consider nuisance pests to human beings. In the Pacific Northwest, by leaps and bounds, the most common is going to be the German roach. They breed really quick. They're prolific breeders. They have pretty big appetites, and they breed fast. So, one of the things that I wanted to focus on in this video is expectations for roach treatments. What I mean by that is, let's say I go out to a restaurant that are having, they're having a roach problem, and they want us to get rid of it. Well, that's no problem. We can definitely do that. But there's always this one small hang-up that happens where they'll go, so how did we get roaches? Where did they come from? How did we get them? And the thing is, I don't know. I can tell you the most common ways that a restaurant, or a house for that matter, ends up with roaches. Technical difficulties. But I wasn't actually there when that first roach came in, so I can't tell you for sure the exact way they came in. The most common ways are if your structure is connected to another structure and they have roaches, there you go. They came in through a wall possibly, or through a vent. That's a big possibility. We see that most often with apartments, hotels, things like that. They spread. German roaches typically don't spread outdoors very well because they don't like our weather, and they don't last very long out there. So they're almost exclusively an indoor pest most of the time. Occasionally you'll see them in a shed. RVs can get them. That's one way they can spread. With restaurants, it's almost always going to be either they possibly came in on an employee. Like if an employee is living in an apartment that has roaches, one or two of them got into a backpack, maybe that employee brought it to work on accident, they get loose. Shipments of produce or bread or other things, a big truck pulls in and they're unloading things. Sometimes that can be the case. Adjoining walls or structures. There are quite a few ways it can happen, but the owner of one of those establishments will often ask me, so how did we get them? And the truth is, I don't know. I'm not psychic. I wish I could go, it was Steve, the guy that brings your bread on Thursdays. Little green truck, Steve did it. You need to talk to Steve, he brought you roaches. But I can't. There's no way for me to know. So, if you're looking to get rid of roaches, there are several things you can do on your own. But the best thing to do that really make sure you've gotten rid of them is to hire pest control. What they'll generally do is come in and do a series of treatments, usually weekly, sometimes a little bit more often, sometimes less often, depending on the company. They all have their own different schedules based, in general, around the products they use and the retreatment rates of those products. And how strong they are, how long the residual is, whether they're using knockdown agents or not, fumigant strips, things like that. So, if you want to get rid of roaches for good, the best thing to do is to do a roach clean out. Hire a company to get rid of them, and then to make sure you don't get them again. This is especially so with commercial structures, and especially with restaurants, because there's no way to basically like roach-proof your structure for the long term. I can get rid of them in a restaurant pretty quickly, but I can't promise you that 2, 3, 4 months down the road, a year down the road, another bread shipment will come in and you'll get some more roaches or something like that. There's really no way to keep them out permanently, except for doing like an ongoing treatment. So the idea there is we get rid of the roaches, then you sign on for an ongoing service that runs throughout the year. The company I work for, it's bi-monthly, it's every other month, and with commercial structures, every month we'll come out and do it. That puts down various barriers and pesticide, things like that, and that makes it to where if a roach does happen to get in there, he's not going to last long enough to reproduce. And so So that keeps them out permanently in the long run. And ongoing service is a good idea for things like hotels and restaurants anyways, especially structures that are prone to infestations. Hotels, bed bugs are always a worry. You know, they don't want to have those. So a good hotel will have, you know, pest control lined up and coming out regularly anyways. A lot of restaurants we've treated that had even a minor roach problem will then sign on for ongoing service, and none of them have had roaches since. So that's an excellent service. You know, that's probably your best bet. For residential structures, apartments especially, that can be a very good system too. You wipe out the roaches with a service and then sign on for ongoing. Now you know you're not going to have a problem with them in the future, and it's usually a really low monthly fee. And so that's probably your best bet. So in a way, I'm kind of touting, you know, the goodness of having an ongoing service to make sure you don't get pests in the future. But at the same time, I did want to focus on roaches in particular, because they can be very virulent. They're hard to get rid of, and once you get rid of them, there's no guarantee they're not going to come back from wherever you got them from to begin with. And as I said, there's no way for me to accurately tell you exactly how that happened. Anyways, I thought I'd bring that up, give that little bit of talk. It was nice talking at you for a while driving into this sunset, and I should be home shortly to eat my dinner. Have a good weekend, everybody.